From the final words of George Floyd to the impact of COVID-19, the need to breathe has become a central focus in our culture. I want to ask you if your life has the space it needs to breathe deeply. There's a moment in the movie Shawshank Redemption where Brooks Hatlin is released from the prison. He was sent to the prison in 1905, and it's now 1954. Shortly after being released, he is almost run over by a car and recalls how he had seen a car before being locked up, but now these cars are everywhere. He writes back to the guys who are still in Shawshank and he says,
"The world went and got itself in a big damn hurry."
Or as the Roman playwright Plautus would write sometime around 200 BCE, "The gods confound the man who first found out how to distinguish the hours. Confound him too who in this place set up a sundial to cut and hack my days so wretchedly into small portions." I can only imagine what Plautus would think of the world we live in today. We live in a culture that prides itself on being busy. We wear it as a badge of honor. We have to be seen to be in constant motion, always having something going on, right? And it's certainly good to work hard. It's good to be responsible, but constant activity should not be the measure of our life. It is far more important for us to structure our days in such a way that we have space to breathe. Imagine trying to read a book with no margins or spaces. Perhaps you've picked up a cheap copy of a book and opened it to see tiny margins and small print and had that sense of being overwhelmed at the thought of reading it because there's simply too many words on the page. And so you set it down and never read it. You see, the gaps and the empty spaces provide room for the page to breathe. The poet Emily Dickinson was known for adding lots of dashes and hyphens to her poetry. Her editors encouraged her to remove them as they felt they contributed nothing to the poem. How wrong they were. The dashes, the hyphens, the spaces, the margins, all the gaps create space for the poem to breathe, to come alive. Poetry is more than words. It's also the way space is created between the words. In the visual arts, we refer to the empty space within an image as negative space. It's designed to draw our focus and attention towards the main subject and provides a space for the subject to become clear as all the clutter is removed and the image can breathe. Even music, which we think of as being about sound, builds space for us. Space for us to breathe, because alongside the notes that instruct the musician to produce sound, you will also find the marks that indicate a rest, a pause, a silence, a breath, a moment to breathe. We all need space to breathe, right? We need to slow down. Now, maybe that you're thinking you've had plenty of space in your life during the COVID pandemic. Indeed, in some ways, we all feel like we've had too much time by ourselves. Even an introvert like me is craving social engagement right now. Yet so much of the space we have in our lives due to COVID is both hectic and stressful. It's not really space for us to breathe. Psalm 46 begins with the words, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble." Folks, that's great, it's encouraging, and it's a nice platitude, but it's also incomplete. What follows is the comment that, "Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging." Now that's getting closer, but it's still not yet complete until we get down to verse 10. And there we read, "Be still and know that I am God." When everything is falling apart, we're encouraged to find space to breathe, to still ourselves, and to know that God is present. Our lives need space to breathe, space to be still. We need to create negative space in our lives so we can see more clearly. We need to see the pause and the score so we can take in the breath of life before we move on to the next measure. We need to be more aware of the punctuation and the spaces of our life story to allow ourselves room to breathe and reflect on the spaces between the words, to find space where we can see the divine at work. The world went and got itself in a big damn hurry. Be still and know that I am God. Just breathe.